Hey, Santa Rosa Christian Church, this is Pastor Noah, and I'm coming to you with a little bit of an update. Last week, we as the elders got together for a retreat to pray, to come together and check in with one another, and then also to talk about where we're headed as a church and how do we navigate the season that we find ourselves in currently, but also looking forward, where do we sense that God is taking us? Now, a couple things came out of that meeting, and we just wanted to give you insight into where our hearts are at and what we're thinking. First of all, one of the things that we did is we had an opportunity to assess where we're at. And as we did that assessment, we looked back at everything that we've been through, and we went back for the past 5 years. And looking back at those last 5 years, man, we really saw we have been through a ton of transition. And many of you have felt a lot of that transition and the weight of that transition. And like with any change in life, change is hard. It brings up a lot of emotions and feelings. And we just want you to, first of all, know that we feel the effects of that change alongside with you. And as you are feeling the effects of that, we just want you to know we're here for you. We love you. And as we navigate all of that change together, that God, as we saw, God is in control. We were super encouraged on a positive note to just see how much God had been working throughout that whole process and God's faithfulness to Santa Rosa Christian Church to provide for us, to care for us, and to fill in the gaps where the gaps needed to be filled. And so in all of that change, God has been faithful. And I think if we walk away with anything and looking at the last 5 years, and I've only been here for a couple of years now, one of the things that we've seen prominent in all of that time is God's faithfulness to the church. And so I want that to be an encouragement to us as we look forward, that just as God has been faithful in the past, He is faithful to be with us and walk alongside of us and provide for us and care for us and love us presently, but also in the future. I think there's opportunity right now for a lot of us to lose hope, to get distracted, to feel frustrated. And while we might feel those things, for us to know in the midst of it that God is with us. And so I just want to encourage you with that and His faithfulness towards the future. Secondly, in assessing, one of the things that came out for us as elders was, man, we need to do a better job at communicating. And so we just want to let you know that first, that we're aware that we have at times not communicated enough. And so we are dedicated to being transparent and vulnerable and assessing even ourselves of like, hey, this is an area that we need to grow in. And so we want you to know that we are aware, not only aware of it, but we will be trying our hardest as we move forward to do our best to communicate openly and keep those channels of communications open with all of the people here at Santa Rosa Christian Church. Along with that, one of the things that came up as we looked forward is we talked about our vision statement. That is a faith community living wholeheartedly for Jesus. And as we looked at the future and as we prayed over, hey, where is God taking us? What is He doing? One of the things that really stood out to all of us was that through this season of the last 2 years with COVID, is that there's been a fragmentation within the community here at Santa Rosa Christian Church. And that is not just our church, it's a lot of churches where the results of COVID had led us to feel isolated at times, or even some of the protocols and things that have been in place with masking and all the mandated things that have come across, we really sense that, man, there is a spiritual battle going on here. And Satan is working really, really hard to cause division in the church, to isolate us, to make us feel that we're alone, and to make us feel disconnected. And so as we looked forward to the future, and this next year in particular, we really sensed a longing and a needing for us to really come back together and focus on being in community with one another. And so with that, we want to start re-engaging as a community, whether that's through things like the Redwood Gospel Mission and doing the nomadic shelter, or coming back to small groups, or doing the Great Thanksgiving Feast. We want to not only do those things, but we really want to focus on how important it is for us to be with one another. And so with that, we really saw in this next year that we want to find ways for us as the community to stay connected. And so, as we look forward to that direction, we want to challenge you as the church to find ways or things that come up for you that might be passions for you. So for some of you, you might like to mountain bike ride. For some of you, you like to cook. We want to find ways that we have passions for the things of life as opportunities to draw us into greater community with one another. And so if you've got a passion, if you've got something where you're like, man, I really love to do this, and I know other people who love to do that, we would like, as we look forward, to create some groups surrounding similar passions that are going to draw us closer to one another and use that as an opportunity to bring Christ right in the middle of it. So as we look forward to the future, we want to find, again, as I said before, we want to find those ways of, hey, how is God calling us to be connected? Whether it's Sunday morning, whether it's through a bike ride, whether it's cooking together, or maybe if you have some of the ladies, you just need to get together, some of the young moms, some of the older ladies, or some of the men where it's like, hey, we need to go on a hike together. We need to be engaging in one another. We want to find those ways in which we can engage with one another. So I'm going to put a link at the bottom of this. If you're interested in doing something like that, please fill out that, follow that link and fill out that form and say, hey, I'm interested in pulling together a group that's finding a common thread around maybe a passion or a desire, but is bringing Christ in the middle of that. So we look forward to giving you more updates as time goes on. And we just wanted to connect with you really quick here and let you know, as Elder Board, we are really praying for our community. We are here, we are present, and we are going to be implementing in this next year as we look at 2022, which is not far off, looking at implementing strategic ways in which we can continue to thrust into a greater sense of community and belonging as the body of Christ. We love you guys, and we look forward to all that God has. Thanks. Bye.